going to have a great week. It's a lot of great things happening this week. The markets are back up, thank God. Bitcoin right now is right under 95,000, so it has to break 95 before it goes on to 100, back to all-time highs. The crazy thing about it is that there's not a lot of excitement in the crypto industry. What happened is that when Trump did all those tariffs and it kind of took the air out of the market, so a lot of retail investors aren't excited no more. Like, we've seen this 100 times before, so they're not really paying attention like they were before. But this is what the institutions, the banks, and the elite want. They want you looking away while they scoop it all up. Now, MicroStrategy just bought a lot more Bitcoin. JPMorgan got involved. Other banks got involved. ProShares is involved. BlackRock is involved. And they've been more involved over the BlackRock actually bought a bunch of Ethereum over the last month or so. You go to Bitcoin conferences, people will be praying for a calamity like a war, a pandemic, or something, because we believed back then that if the world failed, people would rush into Bitcoin and Bitcoin would skyrocket as everything else failed. We always thought something like COVID back in 2013, 14, 15, we believed that something like COVID would cause Bitcoin to skyrocket. So COVID came along, and a lot of Bitcoiners thought this is our moment, even though it's kind of bad to think like that. But a lot of them thought that. And then all of a sudden, Bitcoin attached to the stock market and just did everything the stock market did. And that's been happening since then. It got coupled with the stock market back in COVID, stayed with it, and now it's starting to decouple from the stock market. Now, a lot of people that got into Bitcoin cryptocurrency since 2020 don't realize that most of Bitcoin's history has been completely separated from the stock market. Liquidity is drying up fast. Fewer Bitcoin is available on exchanges. There's been 10% swings back and forth. Some of the best analysts in the world are saying now they predict a rally to around 150 by the end of 2025. I think we can go a lot higher. I still say we're going to be at 250 by the end of the year. I thought it was going to happen summer, but I'm saying end of the year now. I get to change that because I had no idea that we'd be in 4 months of tariff wars, 5 months of tariff wars. So this could be, we can go into 2026, and that would be the full bull run from the halving. Then we may go through a period of bear market. Now, let's talk a little bit about XRP, the ProShares, and the future, fueling the momentum right now in XRP. Now, if everything hits for the rest of the year, we're easily looking at $8 to $12 by the end of 2025, depending on the ETF inflows, futures demands, and also it's going to be tied to Bitcoin's performance as well. Wall Street actually sees a 35 to 50% upside on Amazon over the next year. Amazon is still very strong. It probably shouldn't be down that much. Their revenue is growing. There's a lot of Amazon's long-term AI strategy positions it for a powerful revenue growth into the next decade. I think Amazon is going to start doing a lot of great things, especially with AWS. They're going to expand into AI. Amazon is very good about putting themselves on the supply side of trends, of like the AI trend. And the last thing I want to talk about is Nvidia. Nvidia's stock is also down, but I think when we move into the third phase of AI, which is cloud and building out data centers, I think that Nvidia is also building data centers. So I think Nvidia and Amazon are going to be positioned to do well going forward. That's what's happening, right, is that historically, when assets like this or something the rich, the elite, and the banks need to control, they make you look away. And that's what they've been doing. And it's been successful. Last night on Strategy Sunday, somebody asked me, they said, will banks one day control all of crypto? I said, probably. One day, the only way you'll be able to access crypto is through banks. Then the banks will put a nice big smiley face on it and say, now you can trust it because we control it. And it's happened with everything in history. The internet was supposed to be free. Now, if you're about my age, around 40, you remember that the internet was a free exchange of information and ideas. The internet was supposed to be anybody could put up anything they want, nobody could stop them. That's not true anymore. Post something that the masses don't like or this goes against conventional thought processes on your Instagram or your social media platform, you'll get taken down and your whole page will get down. You can't even put up a website anymore that goes against traditional wisdom or whatever they want. Think about COVID. During COVID, if you said anything against what they wanted you to say, They would destroy you, take you down, and take down your website, anything. They would take you down completely. You would actually, during COVID on Instagram, if you mention the word COVID during a live, they would cut the live off. If you mention the word COVID in a video, they would reduce the reach of your video. Just, you just say the word. If you typed it in a post, they would reduce the reach. There'd be a warning. Remember those warnings at the bottom? It would come up automatically, reduce the reach of your, or take it down completely. That's not free. But what happens over time is, regardless how free the technology is, they use fear to control people. They make people look away. They use their emotions against the masses. And then the banks end up controlling it anyway, which is very, very sad. Good for us, because we're going to still be rich once all this happens. But it's sad for the average person, because they'll be in a perpetual cycle of never having nothing and being workers and nomadic slaves, basically. What I mean by a nomadic slave is that most of us are slaves. And what I mean by that is that we look back at slavery in the United States, at least. Roughly, it lasted from 1776 to right around 1850s. About 70 years, there was slavery in the United States. Now, people will say 400 years. It's not true, because the United States didn't exist before 1776. Couldn't have slaves before it existed. So it's about 70 years we had slaves in this country. So slavery would have died off anyway, because if you look at it, think about what a slave owner has to do. He has to make a purchase. He has to commit to something. He has to keep, at minimum, he has to keep the person alive, clothed. He has to keep the person fed. He has to keep the person some kind of health care, because his investment. I mean, he bought the slave. He got to keep it alive, or he or she alive. So what's a better way to have slaves? Well, let the person, pay them barely nothing. Let them worry about all that stuff. And when they cannot do it, blame them. What? You should have took care of your life better. But, see what I'm saying is that now we have a system of slavery in which we don't even know that we're slaves. We're nomadic slaves. The only thing different about the slavery in the past and the slavery we have now is that you're allowed to go free, travel freely. You're still a slave. Trump is still going after all the people with student loan debt. 60% of people right now are behind at least a year on student loans. And a quarter of those are about to default. That's a lot of people. Millions and millions of people haven't paid their student loans since COVID. Millions of people. Now, those loans don't go away. Remember, student loans is the only debt you can never get away from. The only thing to get you away from that is death. Even the IRS doesn't have the breadth and the power to go after people as much as the student loan people do. And people don't realize this. Student loans will follow you. You can't even get rid of it in bankruptcy. It's the only debt you cannot get rid of in bankruptcy. Now, if I owe the IRS a bunch of money, I can call the IRS and say, look, man, I ain't got no money. Well, I'll pay you 20%. Those commercials come on TV all the time. So you would say, well, I'll pay you 20%. They'll do what's called a debt order in compromise, I believe it is. So that you only have to pay a percentage that's called leaving. You only do that once, though, once. But you can't do that with student loans. You got to pay that student loan. Ain't no offer in compromise. You got to pay it. So all of those people are nomadic slaves. For the rest of your life, they will take that money from you. You'll never have nothing unless you think outside the box. Now, if you live inside their system, you will be a slave for the rest of your life. And you all know it. You don't want to admit it, but the people who are watching here, you want to escape slavery, because it's a type of slavery. It's like sometimes you wonder. Sometimes in zoos, right? Some of these animals don't even know they're enslaved or in a cage. They just think that they're living their life, and I think that's what a lot of us do, right? We don't believe that we are because we don't know, but we really are. The rich elite and the banks, the rich elite live a way more de-slave life than we could even imagine.